Here's the former Royal Spring Middle School substitute teacher at her arraignment. She's charged with 3 counts of third-degree rape. According to her arrest warrant, Allen came into contact with one of her students, a 15-year-old boy, while she was in a position of authority, a position of public trust. In the warrant, police say during a forensic interview, the 15-year-old told them he had sex with the 25-year-old teacher. We talked to his mother last October after she reported to police that she found nude photos and videos of Allen and her son on his cell phone. She said Allen tutored him because he had developmental delays. The warrant states the alleged crimes took place over 8 months, from March to October of last year, at 3 different locations, including a Hilton Inn hotel in Georgetown. In court, Allen's attorney waived formal arraignment and entered a not guilty plea to the rape charges. The judge reduced her bond to $2,500 and ordered Allen to have no contact with the teen.
Micca Gordon was indicted yesterday on several charges. She was a teacher here at Du Bois Academy, and court documents say she was sexually abusing one of her 13-year-old students. A JCPS educator facing more than a dozen charges after police say she sexually abused a minor. Court documents say Micca Gordon began a sexually abusive relationship with one of her 13-year-old students in late August of 2019. And it continued through January of this year. During the time, Gordon was a teacher at Du Bois Academy. The warrant says, quote, the defendant sexually abused the victim on multiple occasions at after-school events, end quote. Court documents say she sent nude photos of herself to the student and convinced him to do the same. Gordon was indicted on 15 charges, including unlawful transaction with a minor, use of a minor in sexual performance, distributing obscene content to a minor, and 6 counts of first-degree sexual abuse. Another document we obtained says she engaged in masturbation in the presence of the victim. While JCPS waits for the results of the investigation, Gordon is being reassigned and will not work with students.
Toni Sutton held back tears as the bailiff placed her in handcuffs. The Crawford High School Spanish teacher pleaded not guilty to having sex with a student who was 15 years old at the time. Sutton is charged with 11 felony counts, including oral copulation and sodomy.
We believe took place in various locations, including her car, her home, as well as in the classroom.
Prosecutors say she and one of her former students had a consensual relationship for 6 months, and it wasn't discovered until the teen's parents found explicit text messages between him and the teacher. An attorney for the teen talked first to 10 News about the case and said Sutton preyed on him and made up a fake story.
The way she was pitching it is she was a victim of an abusive relationship and that she needed him.
She faces 9.5 years in prison if convicted.
Thanks for joining us. A now suspended Andrew Jackson Middle School teacher in Cross Lanes and former Miss Kentucky is facing a felony charge. Court documents state that 28-year-old Ramsey Bearse of Charleston admitted to Kanawha detectives, that is, in the county, that she sent nude photos over the course of 2 months to a now 15-year-old. The boy attended the middle school where Bearse taught, according to the criminal complaints.
According to the Kanawha County Sheriff's Office of West Virginia, Bearse allegedly sent obscene photos of herself to a 15-year-old who was a former student of hers at a middle school she taught. She was released on a $10,000 bond.
Ramsey Bearse was charged with 4 counts of sending obscene material to a minor. Today she was in court to plead guilty to 1 count of possession of material depicting minors in sexually explicit conduct. Bearse was emotional in court. She stood next to her attorney as she told Kanawha County Circuit Judge Duke Bloom the first photo she sent to a former student through the social media app Snapchat wasn't intended for the student. She said when the minor asked her for more pictures, she panicked and continued to send photos. Eventually, he sent her a photo of his genitals.
Just days before a new Miss America is crowned, a former contestant is in front of a judge admitting she sexted with a 15-year-old boy. The former beauty queen who represented Kentucky at Miss America admits she sent inappropriate photos to a student.
A former Miss Kentucky breaks down in tears as she admits to sending sexually provocative photos to a 15-year-old boy. 29-year-old claims she meant to send the first risque photo to her husband and sent it by accident to the teenager, her former student. But she continued sending other photos. She claimed the student asked for more, and she was afraid to not appease him.
The former Miss Kentucky faces 2 years in prison when she's sentenced next month, along with as much as 50 years probation, and she'll be required to register as a sex offender.
Well, 34-year-old Valerie Valvo is an art teacher at Central High School in Brooksville. She is now accused of partying and having sex with a 17-year-old student. Valerie Valvo is an art teacher at Central High School in Brooksville. Now she's under arrest, accused of having sex with a 17-year-old student in her home on numerous occasions.
She and he both said that there was alcohol being used, marijuana being used during those encounters.
Hernando County Sheriff's deputies arrested Valvo after speaking with the student. Both teacher and student admitted to having sex on several occasions at Valvo's Spring Hill home.
Former teacher's aide at Sabine ISD in Gregg County was arrested and charged for an inappropriate relationship with a student. 27-year-old Cassie Dowson of Diana was arrested on the charge yesterday. Superintendent Stacy Bryce confirms Dowson was an aide at the elementary school. Bryce says that Dowson resigned from the district in late May before school officials knew about the allegation.
A developing story tonight as hearings in for a former teacher's aide accused of having an improper relationship with a student. She is 27-year-old Cassie Dowson. She worked for Sabine ISD when the improper relationship happened back in March of 2019. Today, Dowson was sentenced to 10 years probation. She will also have to pay a $10,000 fine and attend counseling.
Olivia Huerta was arrested Wednesday on her 23rd birthday after admitting to having a sexual encounter with a 16-year-old student from Sam Rayburn High School. Investigators say she told police they exchanged numbers and eventually communicated via text and Snapchat. Then on March 1st of last year, investigators said she walked the students to her parents' home and had sex. Investigators found messages between the two where the student said, "I remember the day you raped me," and then suggested they engage in what the complainant describes as round two.
23-year-old Olivia Huerta charged with an improper relationship with a student and the sexual assault. Court documents say she admitted to having sex with a Sam Rayburn High School student when he was 16 and that the relationship lasted 2 years. A judge set her bond at $40,000 and issued a protective order banning Huerta from having any contact with the teen.
Former Round Rock teacher charged with having an improper relationship with a student. According to the affidavit, 36-year-old Randi Chaverria performed oral sex on the student in her classroom. It also states she sent the student text messages to meet up for sexual contact in the school. Chaverria has turned herself in at the Williamson County Jail. She turned herself in yesterday, posted bond, and was released. She taught family and consumer sciences at Round Rock High School, but resigned last week after school leaders informed parents of the allegations against her. If found guilty, she faces up to 20 years in prison.
35-year-old Hayley Hallmark is charged with lewd and lascivious conduct with a student by an authority figure. Hallmark is a teacher and soccer coach at Ruckle Middle School in Niceville. She also coaches the dance team. She's accused of having a sexual relationship with a student between August 2018 and August 2020. It began when the victim was 15 years old. Officials say the inappropriate relationship started with texting, then sexting, before several physical encounters at their homes and in her classroom. The arrest report says while in school, they would tilt the camera away and block the door so no one would enter. The investigation began Thursday once the victim came forward and confided in a teacher at Niceville High School. The school district immediately placed her on administrative leave. Superintendent Marcus Chambers says he will recommend the school board suspend her without pay pending the outcome of the investigation.
Well, according to court documents, after learning teacher Andee Lantz had allegedly sent a student an inappropriate photo, the school superintendent started asking questions.
One of the students had been circulating a a nude picture of her.
According to court documents, Andee Lantz was a Carnegie Public Schools middle and high school special education teacher when she began a relationship with a 16-year-old student. Court reports reveal when confronted by the superintendent about an inappropriate photo, Lantz and the student initially denied it. But over the course of the conversation, Lantz admitted to riding around with the teen following a homecoming game. Reports show Lantz admitted he leaned in and kissed her, and it went from there. Investigators say the two went back to the teacher's home where they had sex.